Perplexity, I think their philosophy has been, the velocity. They keep on releasing new and new features.
It's definitely a great tool. Going back to the original problem that you were talking about, right? Google search doesn't give all the required details, or you'll have to scroll through like bunch of pages to find the right content. Maybe let me ask you that question, right? Give me the use cases where you would go for ChatGPT versus Perplexity.
So initially, what I did was I tried to see if I can just live with Perplexity by replacing everything which I do in Google with Perplexity.
What labs is, what tasks is, and then we can probably like try out some examples and see how it does. Can we take that template and ask, hey, we have this idea of building a mental health app.
Let's do multiple queries. Do you also want to do another question?
So this one basically tells how individual stocks are performing, or can it also tell like future predictions or something?
Give it a task and see.
Where should I invest?
Ask it to where should I invest. Let's say $1,000, not 10,000.
Can you give a brief intro of what tasks is as well? And I know ChatGPT has a similar thing, right? Can you give me a distinction too?
It goes and looks at all the sources and gives you a concise view of the news for that day.
So this probably gets information from all the world information, right? And this probably doesn't look into paid channels or something like that.
It also talks about the top losers, and it gives you some links, and it talks about the key events which happened.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our podcast, Everything Product. In this podcast, we talk about different technologies, latest product management concepts, and we also host wide variety of leaders shaping up the technology space. And for everyone who doesn't know me, this is Funny. I'm a product manager at a startup.
This is Sid Saladi. I'm a product manager working for Best Buy.
So we have been exploring several AI tools in the last few weeks. And one thing that got us very excited about is one of the latest news that Apple could be acquiring Perplexity. And we have been using Perplexity for some time now, and we think it's an absolutely great tool. So we wanted to try out some of those features, and we wanted to showcase those to you today. So Sidhu, let's get started.
Yeah, let's talk about. So Perplexity recently launched two features. Perplexity Labs, which was launched a couple of months back, and Perplexity Tasks, which was launched like a couple of days back. So let's go into exploring those features within Perplexity. But before we go into exploring these features, Funny, let's talk about the basic functionality of Perplexity and what Perplexity is. So for anybody who's watching this and doesn't know what Perplexity is, right? So imagine, think of it as AI search. So when you go to Google and ask a question, you have to navigate through multiple different links, blue links, right? So it actually gives you a bunch of links, and you go to the links and try to get the answer which you have asked. But Perplexity kind of does the job of looking at the different links and gives you the answer directly. So essentially, it is like a faster Google search for yourself. And I think even after Perplexity, it's been like 2 years since Perplexity has launched. Now Google also has AI mode, which is similar to Perplexity. But Perplexity, I think their philosophy has been, the velocity. They keep on releasing new and new features. And the two new features which are really, really helpful when we tried out were Perplexity Labs and also Perplexity Tasks. So let's get into seeing those features. But before that, Funny, like what is your take on Perplexity?
It's definitely a great tool. Going back to the original problem that you were talking about, right? Google search doesn't give all the required details, or you'll have to scroll through like bunch of pages to find the right content. Or I know Gemini gives a summary of an AI search, but I barely believe that, because half the time I feel like it's just hallucinating or just giving some random links, which uh, several times for me like ended up as not true. But I continually hear that Perplexity gives the right answers, gives the right experiences, and also gives the right links, so that you don't have to do all the research by yourself. Definitely positive so far. But if you ask me like what is my usage compared to other tools, it's comparatively lower. Maybe let me ask you that question, right? There are several other tools like, let's say, Gemini or ChatGPT, or and then Perplexity. Give me the use cases where you would go for ChatGPT versus Perplexity.
Yeah. So that's a good question, Fanny. So before I go into that question, so I would want to Perplexity is obviously not free, right? So you have to pay like $20. There is a free version, but that still doesn't give you the full-fledged set of features which are accessible through the premium version. So initially what I did was I tried to see if I can just live with Perplexity by replacing everything which I do in Google with Perplexity. Some of the things which I found was interesting and was done really really good with Perplexity, and there are also some things which Google does really really good with. So when you look at by the nature of search, there are three major kinds of ways people search. One is informational search, right? You search for information. That's where Google excels and gives you the right information, points you towards the right place. And there's also directional, where Google again is does a really really good job. Directions of a location, restaurant, or a website, it takes you to that spot. The third thing is the complex searches. I think that's where Google falls apart. Where, so one example for complex search is, right, so if I go in and search saying, okay, I bought a bicycle today, will it fit in my car trunk, and I'll give it my car's model and year. Google won't be able to help me. Maybe it will be able to help me if somebody writes a blog about them having the same car, purchasing the same vehicle, cycle, and putting it in the car. But when you ask the same question to Perplexity, it actually does all the research for you, infers for you, and gives you saying, okay, is it actually possible or no? So that's where Perplexity excels. But initially, when Perplexity started, it's been 2 years since it launched. It was like a really good feature they had, and like they had that novelty built into Perplexity. But now ChatGPT has web search, Claude has web search, Gemini has web search. So I think that's when I contemplated, and I've actually stopped subscribing or taking Perplexity subscription for a month. But again, right, Perplexity came back with this killer feature, which is labs and tasks, which again, I got back to Perplexity, and now I'm paying Perplexity for the subscription. So let's again look at what these features are and go into the details.
Okay, let's get started. So, can you show us briefly like what labs is, what tasks is, and then we can probably like try out some examples and see how it does.
Yeah. So this is how the basic layout for Perplexity looks like. So essentially, like there is basic search where you
Can you
can,
zoom in a little bit?
yeah, sure. There is the basic search functionality where you can go in and ask certain questions, and it will give you an answer. And there is deep research where you can actually go and ask it little complicated questions. It'll actually do a full set of research for you for the question which you have asked and present you with results. Then you have the labs feature which we are talking about. So essentially, no, think of labs as multiple agents working for you on your query. So imagine you want to do like a stock analysis, or you want to do you're a startup and you want to do like a market research. What it does is it does all the search for you and builds dashboards and also maybe applications and graphs so that you understand what the market looks like, what does the competition looks like, and so on and so forth. That's the basic functionality of labs. And essentially all of these take different times, right? So the basic search functionality is like instantaneous. It takes less than 10 seconds. Deep search or research takes anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. Perplexity labs takes little longer, which is 10 minutes. And with Perplexity, you have a feature where you can change the models. You can either select a Claude model or a ChatGPT model or a Gemini model, and there are also a bunch of open source models which you can select. So that's what Perplexity essentially offers you. And let's go into the labs feature here. So let's try out the labs features here. So I'll say, right,
Actually, before we go there, right?
um,
So, when I think about the customer personas, like who this would be useful for, like when I think about labs, let's say you're a small business owner or you're trying to like get into a new product or a new startup, and you want to research how your product is. I mean, what is the product market fit for yours, or what is the total TAM for your current product, or something like that. Instead of you probably hiring a consultant or spending hours and hours researching about it, this could be useful where you can get everything that's needed for your company and then decide where you want to get to.
yeah, I think that's a really good use case which you talked about, Funny. So imagine you are like a enthusiastic maybe an undergrad who wants to build a product, right? Sitting out of their basement, so they want to understand what the competition is. Has there any idea or product been built in the space which you're trying to be at, and all of that stuff. So this can help you get all of the details, the TAM, the who are the competitors existing in that market, and like how many users. It's like, again, it depends on what information is accessible or no, but it does a really good job in consolidating based on what is available in the open internet. And one other use case could be, right, you are maybe trying to invest in stock market and want to do analysis about a stock, right? Like what has been their revenue over the years, like are they investing, what is their R&D spend, like what is their PE ratio, and so on and so forth. So you can also do that. And I think for for making it easy for people to understand the wide variety of use cases that you can use labs for, Perplexity actually created different templates and use cases which you can use Perplexity Labs for. So you have templates which you can use for just casually, right? Like trip planning or website scanning, just like a interview role play coach, and so on and so forth. And if or you just can ask it to be a startup YC startup advisor, and ask it to
Mm.
validate your ideas. Or you can maybe ask it to say, like, I've seen a new meme coin come up, can you explain about who actually started this and why is it coming into the news. Or you can just make it a brainstorm buddy, and you can trade ideas with it. And I see that there are really good finance use cases here, where you can ask it, right, like ask it questions, have a stock screener about like what are the top movers for the day. Or you can also analyze S&P 500 transcripts about certain questions which you would be interested in. And you could also do like a due diligence about your investment opportunities there.
Nice. Let's start with one thing, Sidhu. So I know we were exploring this mental health app a
Okay.
week or two ago, right? So I know you had that startup advisor. Can we take that template and ask, hey, we have this idea of building a mental health app which can take voice notes from people and gives them suggestions on what they need to do. Okay,
Yes.
let's see what it comes back with.
Yeah, let's do that. And let's, because it takes like 10 minutes, funny, let's
Mhm.
do multiple queries. Do you also want to use do another question, like a
Yeah,
finance
I have
one or
another
a
idea.
stock picker? So let's start with the YC one first.
Okay.
So what's your question?
Uh, I have an idea of building a mental health app that takes the voice notes, um, understands how the person is feeling, and gives the suggestions on what they need to
Understands how the person is feeling, and
suggests what they need to do.
so let's also define the problem, right? So let's say that the problem here is we want to build an app that makes people emotionally better, or
Makes people more productive. No,
more, no, not more productive, but make people
emotionally strong.
happier, right?
Tell me if this app is a good idea. What is the market potential? If so, how I should approach it?
Tell me if this is a good idea. What's
What
the
is the market potential?
potential?
Let's start with that. Let's see.
And we'll also say, like, who are the competitors in the space,
Okay.
and can this become a... Okay, cool. I'll run it. It'll take 10 minutes, so we'll come back to this at the last, after we visit all the different features. The second one
Okay.
is, you wanted to, what was the other use case?
We can take stock screener.
Okay, let's go to finance and take stock screener.
So this one basically tells how individual stocks are performing, or can it also tell like future predictions or something?
Yeah, so I think it can do all of that stuff, but if you want, we can just ask it to um I have like 10,000. Give it a
Okay.
task and
Where
see,
should I invest?
ask it to, where should I invest, like,
Okay.
let's say $1,000, not 10,000, right? So
Yeah.
I have $1,000 and I want to invest in a stock that gives me 15%. Is that good? You want to
Good.
add anything?
15%, I'm guessing, per year.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
15%, if you want to get in the next 10 years, for sure it'll give it. Any stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Let's go ahead. Yep.
Let's start. Okay. So it's actually creating a plan. It talks basically this is like a reasoning model, right? And the same thing it's doing for the other task which we give. But again, for
Can you zoom
anybody,
in a little bit more?
yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yep. So it's
Oh, it's
showing
showing how many minutes left and stuff. The
yep,
previous one is telling
left
three
and
minutes.
stuff.
This one six minutes.
It's also showing all the sources it's looking at information for, right? So it actually is really good. It goes and it goes wild on getting all of the data and information. Okay, so let's come back to look at the results. So should we go in and explore the tasks feature?
Sure. Can you give a brief intro of what tasks is as well? And I know ChatGPT has a similar thing, right? Can you give me a distinction too, if any?
Yeah, um, I'll show you the tasks feature. So funny, the task feature is essentially you are giving it a task to for it to perform on a regular basis, right? So imagine I want regular news updates on certain topics, 8 o'clock in the morning. So regularly, when tasks didn't exist, what I used to do is go to Perplexity, give it a prompt, and it'll actually perform the task for me. But now you can ask it to do that on a regular basis, and I think this would be really really helpful because like what is our source of information and news, right? So we maybe look at Google News, or maybe look at LinkedIn or Instagram to understand the different use cases. But I think that is too much overload of information, right? You're spending maybe 2 3 or 4 hours to get or consume the most important information you need. With tasks, what you can do is you can give a prompt to say like, I'm only interested in news like technology, AI, and so maybe the US political news and India political news. I want it every day, 8 a.m. in the morning. Can you send it to me? And Perplexity is doing a really really good job, right? So it does something similar to what you do with labs, right, or research. It goes and looks at all the sources and gives you a concise view of the news for that day.
Mhm.
And some of the use cases I use it for is I basically ask it today, say, okay, can you give me global and regional news for that specific day, and I schedule it for 8 o'clock in the morning. And after the market closes, I also ask it for a post market analysis and also crypto market analysis. And it does a really, really good job getting the latest sources.
Oh, this is great. So I love the examples that you have here, right? You're getting some updates in the morning, some updates in the evenings on what exactly happened so that you don't have to cruise through probably a bunch of websites, a bunch of news channels, etc. Actually, one question that I have. So this probably gets information from all the world information, right? And this probably doesn't look into paid channels or something like that. Because when I think about news, for example, let's say you want to use Forbes, or let's say you want to use some, I don't know, I'm blanking out of the news channel, some news channels. Those that information might not be available at ever, but whatever it is available on the market, it's gonna look through that.
Yeah, it's going to look through that. Yeah. And I think not just like finance news, stock news, or regular news, you can also ask it to do like a screener about all the recent topics which people are talking about, and it can give you content ideas which you can create in LinkedIn. So that could be something which if you're a content creator and you want to post regularly on LinkedIn, this is a way where you can get different a bunch of ideas thrown at you. If you like it, you can create content around it, or if not, just leave it like that. But yeah, we can also see how it looks like, right? I'll go into, so this is like a send me a daily post market stock update. I'll actually show you the prompt also, so that you know what the prompt is. So I gave it a prompt, send daily post market stock updates, and it'll I also asked it to say like search from credible sources. If I don't if,
Mm.
Prior to that, when I didn't add that, it was looking at like low ranked pages and so on and so forth. News was not accurate. But I said, okay, look at credible sources and look at the overall index performance, top gainers, key news drivers, major events, and so on and so forth. So when I did that, this is something which I see every day. Right. So when you look at the news here, it says overall stock performance index. This is something, today it's searched by one person. It'll actually also give you sources where it got this information from, and it will talk about the top gainers. So it says, okay, Nike grew by this much, and all of these companies grew by this much. It also talks about the top losers, and it gives you some links, and it talks about the key events which happened, which is like a trade agreement with China, Federal Reserve rate cut expectations, Nike earnings beat, and Nvidia milestone. Then it also talks about what are major events that are likely to influence the next week. So this is something that is also important, that I used to look for different sources before, but now it's actually doing it for me. So it says that because all of this data is something that is influencing the market, right? So you can decide whether to invest or not when you have this news. And it also talks about the oil market dynamics and all of that stuff. So
Lovely.
yeah.
Yeah, lovely, Sidhu, because ideally you would have to probably cruise through a lot of websites to get through all of this information. But here you have a very consolidated info.
Yeah.
Actually, one question, like, can you make it do tasks, or is it just for like informational gathering for now?
What do you mean by make it do tasks?
So, for example, let's say you wanted to go buy some stocks, or you wanted to do something like that, do an action like that. Can it take an action like that?
I think they're slowly moving towards that, but currently what this does is, think of it almost like an agent, Funny. So it's searching for information. It can actually also look at different Reddit forms, X posts to give you information about posts that have like high number of shares or likes and upvotes. It can do that too. But I'm thinking, there are rumors around Perplexity launching a browser like Chrome, which is more agentic in nature and which can actually do tasks for you. So I think they're adding capabilities of it purchasing products for you and so on and so forth. So I think I'm thinking, my hunch is
Nice.
they'll have something in their agentic browser launch.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but let's see.
Yeah, and one
And
other
you're
thing.
gonna have like lot of. Go ahead, go ahead.
No, so go ahead. Yeah.
I was just saying, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because now you're gonna have like a lot of bot based purchases, which means a lot of websites will have to like think about like bot trackings, enabling bot tracks, because in the historically like all the websites do like blocking the bot tracking. Now they'll have to go the other way around, where they enable reliable bots to do certain tasks, but not everyone.
So humans, like their attention can be diverted through ads. Now we need ads for bots also, so that they can make purchases or convince the human to make purchase from this website. Something like that. Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Go on.
and funny, so I also wanted to show something which I tried the same feature within ChatGPT. So ChatGPT
Yep.
launched tasks like I think 5 to 6 months
Few
ago.
months back.
So I schedule so many things, but it actually never works really for me, because even though I ask it crypto updates, it gives me news from like maybe 6 years back, 6 months back, or 1 year back, and I haven't had that at least the value piece from ChatGPT tasks. And when you see ChatGPT, right, the same prompt, when I give it to ChatGPT and schedule tasks, this is what it gives me, right? So it starts with overall market information, and it starts with top gainers and all of that stuff. But I still see that there is a lot of room for improvement. When you see Perplexity, right, it does a really, really good job. Instead of, so when you see this, I don't, I'm not sure if that's the right, uh, information or no. So yeah.
Mm.
All right. So yeah, that's the tasks feature. Yeah, you can use it for a lot of different things. And maybe, and I've also seen in some forums that people who are product managers are using this, right? So imagine you're building a consumer product. If you want to keep
Mm.
monitoring all the features or posts that are coming by your competitors, you can actually schedule a task every week for it to run and say like, what improvements have my competitors made? Or you can actually just look at your own product and see what are the new reviews that came in for my specific app, right? So, and you can
Yep.
also ask it to do a sentiment analysis. What percentage of them are positive, what percentage of them are negative, and give me the top ones that that are more actionable. Maybe you could do that too. So
That's
those are different things.
even our own data, I guess, right? Because we can probably schedule it to say, hey, I mean, probably down the line, download this report from my Shopify dashboard or Google Analytics dashboard. And based on that, give me an understanding about how my, let's say I have 10 products, how each of my products performed, which one is the top gainer, top loser, etc., etc. Yeah.
Yep. So let's go back to the labs feature and see what it
Lab.
gives. So yeah, first
Mhm.
let's look at the mental health one. Funny. So
Okay.
idea is a strong potential in a rapidly growing market. It says okay.
Okay.
So it says, see, yeah. So this is the graph
Mental
which
health
it
market
creates.
growth projection. Okay.
Market rate. So
Oh,
it's
mental health apps, it's saying it's not growing as much, but it is telling that digital mental health is growing up.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
and it says several key factors that are driving this growth. So post COVID, yeah, obviously 1 in 8 people experiencing mental health disorders, and government initiatives, mental health funding reached 1.2 billion. Multiple proven business models. So it's okay. It gives you all the competitors. See, it does an analysis and builds a graph for you. So BetterUp, I know BetterUp is
Mm.
a competitor, and it talks about Spring Health, Cerebral, Calm. Calm is also it's not like a mental health, but
Yep.
it's a wellness app, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
even Clinical Me, and it gives all the 10 mental health unicorns, which are billion-dollar businesses. And it so these are the established ones, like voice-based mental health landscapes. It also talks about that landscape and talks about the funding which some of them received. Critical challenge, user engagement crisis. Says retention problem. Mental health apps face severe user engagement that your app must address to achieve $1 billion potential. Obviously, right? So people come to mental health app when they have a problem. You don't maybe intend people to have a problem every day, right? So once they're cured, they don't come back.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
mental health, peer support and meditation. Okay, so it gives actual user engagement percentages where peer support is high, right? Mental health, meditation, I think these are trends that come and go, right? Like when there is like in COVID time, a lot of people were registering for these meditation classes, and then after like 1 or 2 years people dropped out of that. So it's not like a continuing, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it
Until you
also
hear from someone that hey, doing meditation is good, you'll try it for like a week. You might not even use an app after that. Yeah.
talks about a path to $1 billion potential, differentiation through voice technology. Okay, yeah, and it gives like a okay. It also gives you a validation framework. Start. This is really good. So manual voice, 1 to 2 weeks, recruit one
Nice.
10 to 20 friends. Okay, validate if people are manually find manual insights useful. Then phase two is MVP with core features. It actually is giving you like a timeline on how you can achieve this market
Love that.
valuation. Yeah, key success metrics, week over week growth. It's really good. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
think of like product manager's life, right? When we are trying to analyze a new product or a feature, this could take forever for us to get all of this information.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not saying that 100% of the work would reduce, but at least to begin with, right? It would accelerate our work big time.
And I think it's always better to start with a reference than a blank canvas, right? So when you have so much information, you can actually decide to pick and dig deep on certain topics rather than like just like
Mm.
taking this for face value, right? Yeah, I
Makes
think it
sense.
goes into competitive positioning, and it also talks about recommendation, pursue and with strategic approach. Yeah, I think, and again,
Mhm.
you could ask follow up questions and so on and so forth. But at least I feel that this is a really good first draft, and you also have like all the assets here, funny. So you can actually look at the tables it built, the graphs it built, and all of the reports, and it'll also give you the details of all the steps which it took, which is also good, right? It'll actually give you insights about its thought process.
Ask it to create a presentation, Sidhu. That
Yeah, and this is all the sources which it's actually looking for. So I think it did a really good job.
it's it's so funny, Sidhu. So think about an interview. For example, let's say you're trying to interview for Calm, for example, and then let's say Calm gives you a use case to say, hey, let's say you are the product manager for this new feature. Tell me an entire business case and what you would solve for. Come to this, put everything, ask it to create a presentation, just prepare for it and go present.
You know what I
Damn,
would
you
do?
will never know whether the person is good or not.
What you know what I'll do? I'll actually give the same prompt to all the different apps, combine all the information together, and remove everything which I don't like, and create a very smooth presentation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I was just
Okay.
saying, like in general, like this could be like exponentially beneficial for people who are in their existing roles, want to try like new products, even for startups and stuff who are trying to explore new industries, new kinds of products, or the students who are trying to like learn about something, projects, etc. Definitely there are negatives, but I don't know. It's not worth talking about negatives right now, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Awesome. So yeah, we gave it a task saying I have $1,000, like, and I want
Hmm.
15% return per year in the next 10 years. What are my options? So it starts with investment options for this thing or comprehensive analysis, understanding a 15% return. So it says, okay, growth of 1K over this thing. So it gives you graphs about different percentages, which it's okay. So high growth technology and AI stocks. The most promising path to 15%. Nvidia stands out in the leading candidating, having delivered 60,000. Okay, that's good. Palantir, Google, emerging growth technologies. It gives another bunch of things. Then it talks about value and recovery plays. It gives recommendation and returns. Okay, it gives different things. Okay, it gives you a table actually. I guess so. Uh, okay. Then it actually says, okay, growth stocks portfolio allocation for 15% target. Oh, it actually does a portfolio allocation for you, like growth, tech, cash, international, and value.
Nice.
And then it also does a risk assessment. Uh, so what is your percentage return and what is your risk volatility here? High growth, tech, and all of that. And
Mm.
implementation recommendations is here. So it says, given this thing, diversified, first direct investments, prioritize companies with strong competitive advantage, and so on and so forth. Focus on this thing. Yeah, yeah. I think it gives you
Nice.
much options, but I would appreciate if it would have said, okay, pick one, two, three, and I want you to pick one, two, three because of this reason.
Actually, ask it like to say, hey, based on your portfolio, tell me exact stocks I should buy today.
You also have an
Do
option
you
which
think it's a
says
good thing that they?
get project now. Let's see.
Oh, is it like to speed up the process or something?
I think so. I don't know. I have never tried it. This is the first time I'm saying this.
I was just about to say like, looks like they hard coded it to like 10 minutes for everything.
Yeah. See, it says, okay, it gives you an answer here. Primary AI,
Nice. Nvidia
200,
200.
100 Microsoft, 100 Palantir, App Lovin 75, Broadcom 75, Alphabet 100, PDD, yeah, Crocs 50, 50.
We should actually try this out, Sidhu.
Yeah, we should try and see how this grows. Yeah, and
Yeah.
funny, one thing which I actually was doing with ChatGPT was I gave it all my portfolio of stocks, and I actually asked it to do an analysis every week to say what are some stocks which I should keep, what are some stocks which I should dispose. And it used to give me like a
Mm.
report every week based on the movements and the sentiment news and all of that stuff. And I also told it that I'm a value investor. Like I don't want to change my portfolio frequently, but I only want to do it if and when needed. So and it was actually doing a really good job. But the problem with ChatGPT again, right? It's not giving me the latest sources. It's not basing the research on the latest today's news. It was looking at previous data. But I should try that with Perplexity and see.
Makes
So you're saying we should try this and
no.
invest $1,000 and see how this will grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
We should actually put it out because maybe we can come back to it probably in another month or two, see how it's doing, 6 months, how it's doing, etc. You can just keep that money aside and see how it goes. Yeah.
And actually, I think we don't even need to invest real money, Funny. So there are some simulators which you can actually allocate money and see. It actually maps the actual market.
Mm.
So you don't need to. It's like paper money, but you still can trade it. We can try that too and see.
Yeah. Let's try it out.
Awesome.
So to summarize, we looked at two primary things. One is labs and the other one is tasks. Labs primarily helps you with research kind of activities where you want to understand about certain company, certain market, or you want to understand about stocks, news, etc. It'll do a thorough analysis throughout the market and give you like a report that you can use. Tasks, you can give it a task that you can perform on a daily basis. For example, like at the end of the day, I want to get a summary of how the stock portfolio performed, or how crypto performed, etc. It'll give you a report that you can like utilize, consume, and then take an actions on that.
Yeah. And
Awesome,
as
Siddharth.
and as we started reviewing these AI tools, right, we have seen a lot of interest where people are watching our videos, trying it out themselves. So it'll be great if you guys can try out some of the use cases which we showed in the video and tell us what you're finding out. And if you want us to try new use cases, also mention that in the comments. And every comment you actually add to the videos, right, gives us more boost to do these videos. So please doing that. I know we have a lot of silent followers, but just leaving a comment will encourage us more to explore more tools and show you how you can use it in your day-to-day lives.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have
Thank
a
you.
nice day. See ya.